Hello everyone, and welcome to this Let's Play of Kaiserreich, Legacy of the Weltkrieg for Hearts of Iron 4, and today I will be playing as the Kingdom of Ukraine, which on January 1st of 1936 is being led by King Vasil I of the House of Habsburg-Lorraine. He is the head of state, and he is also a cousin of the Austrian Emperor Kaiser Karl I. And Ukraine is also a member of the Reichspakt, which is the faction led by the German Empire. But they are not a puppet state of the German Empire, unlike Lithuania, White Ruthenia, and the United Baltic Duchy, and Flanders-Wallonia. Ukraine is an independent ally of the German Empire and a member of the Reichspakt. And as mentioned before, the head of state of Ukraine is King Vasil I, and Ukraine is under an authoritarian democratic government, and the ruling party is the Ukraiński Nacjonalno Держavny Soyuz, and the head of government is Pavlo Skoropadsky, a paternal autocrat. The foreign minister is Dmitry Doroshenko, a national populist. The economy minister is Andrei Levitsky, an authoritarian democrat. And the Minister of the Interior is Igor Kistoyakovsky, an authoritarian Democrat. And I have two national spirits, Hetman's Army and Issue of the Russian Language. So the first one is Hetman's Army, recruitable population minus 0.70%, recruitable population factor minus 25%, division recovery rate minus 20.0%. The Hetman of Ukraine, General Pavlo Skoropadsky, supported by Germany, undermined Austrian influence in Ukraine following the 1927 Austrian Auxlet negotiations. The political strife between the military, dominated by the Hetman, and the Ukrainian Rada, headed by the king, has left Ukraine's military in such disarray that even personal reconciliation between the Hetman and Rada would seem to be insufficient. The Ukrainian military is in dire need of reform. And then I have issue of the Russian language, political power gain minus 20%, stability minus 5.0%. The centuries-long Russian dominance of Ukraine and suppression of the Ukrainian language has produced a sizable Russian-speaking minority, or perhaps even majority, in Ukraine. With independence, the Ukrainian language has been reinvigorated, much to the chagrin of numerous Russo-Ukrainians, many of whom resist the Ukrainian government or even desire a return to Russian rule. Okay, let me select a national focus. Oh, I can't right now, I have to wait. Okay, time for research. Now I'm going to build some factories. Alright, let me trade some rubber with German East Asia. Some tungsten with Portugal. That's good. Now it's time to set up my army. And in the meantime, let's get this show on the road. Our kingdom, the Kingdom of Ukraine, proclaimed its independence with German support on the 25th of January 1918, a state of affairs that was quickly ratified by the Peace of Nations Agreement at Brest-Litovsk. An initial experiment with socialism in the form of a People's Republic was swiftly expunged by a German-backed coup. This operation, led by the strongman and former general in the Russian army, Pavlo Skoropadsky, set the tone for Ukraine's future. It was to be a breadbasket used by a military aristocrat elite from across Eastern Europe as a source of food, a convenient market for goods and a military bulwark against the weakened Russian Republic. For a time, the dispute between Germany and its Austro-Hungarian ally over Ukraine rumbled on after the Weltkrieg. eventually settling on a compromise whereby King Vasily, an Austrian archduke born Wilhelm Franz von Habsburg, would rule with the support of Skoropadsky, who was the German Allied hetman, who as the German Allied hetman holds incredible powers of both civil and military affairs. By 1927, German involvement in the Austrian-Auschwitz negotiations meant that Ukraine fell de facto into the hands of the hetman, with King Vasily becoming an increasingly marginalized figure. Ukraine under the hetmanate has become a breadbasket for the Reichspakt, and made its wealthy landowners exorbitantly wealthy, but at the expense of the Ukrainian peasantry. Now, almost 20 years after the Weltkrieg, the national situation is unstable. The Reich forces us to sell our goods almost exclusively to nations within its sphere of influence, while syndicalists gain popularity amongst the downtrodden rural poor and city workers with each passing day. Both ethnic Russians and the pro-Russian population dream of unification with their former master to the east, while Ukrainian nationalists proclaim that our kingdom is no more than a German puppet. This is an immutable truth. Despite these many issues afflicting us, our land is prosperous and fertile, our people industrious, and our potential boundless. Shche vremla Ukraina. The Ukrainian government. It's fair to say that our government is divided. While Pavel Skoropadsky does his best to solve the antagonism between the army, consisting of former officers of the Russian Imperial Army, and the civil administration, most of which actively supports our current position in the Reichspakt, many of Ukraine's problems can only be solved when the majority of our population, the kulaks and peasants, have an opportunity to sell their substantial agricultural produce in Europe beyond the narrow confines of the Reichspakt. We shouldn't provoke the peasants. Okay, back to setting up my army. Do I have a navy? I do. Alright, now it's time to set up some front lines. Hang on. Okay, let me split these guys into different theaters. no. Then I don't want to do that. All right. Okay, so I've set up all my armies. Now, if I somehow manage to get independent of the Reichspakt, or the Reichspakt, however you want to pronounce it, I do want to expand Ukraine's borders, and I'll probably expand into the Don-Kuban Union, or White Ruthenia, and definitely Galicia-Lodomeria, but they have to become independent of Austria first. And maybe I can even take Bessarabia from Iron Guard Romania. Alright, let's continue. I can't pick a national focus yet, I gotta wait. Let me send some more troops east. I'll modify my government later. I'll pick an intelligence minister. I'll go with... I'll go with Oleg Olzich. I'll go with him. Black Monday hits Ukraine. Almost 2 weeks ago, the Berlin Stock Exchange plunged into the abyss, throwing Germany's economy into an unprecedented crisis. Now that the crash's shockwaves have reached the Ukraine, German and Austrian-owned companies have closed down or laid off their workers. The Ukrainian hryvnia is losing value, and resource exports are shrinking exponentially. Let us hope that Europe remains open to us. And I now have the Black Monday National Spirit, which gives production efficiency cap minus 10.00% and factory output minus 25.00%. Travailleurs elected in France. Interesting. Okay, let's read this. Ukraine's dependence on Germany for agricultural exports. Okay, wait. I'll read that in a moment. Ukraine's dependence on Germany for agricultural exports left the nation acutely vulnerable to disruption following the Black Monday crisis. With decreased German demand for Ukrainian exports and a marked reduction in German investment, the Ukrainian economy has stagnated. White Guard. The White Guard, Belia Gvardia, is a film based on the novel written by the leader of the pro-Russian movement, Mikhail Bulgakov. The film story describes the life of one of Russian family in Kiev just after the German occupation in 1918. The main characters are the Russian officers and Ukrainian citizens that participated in the defense of Kiev, from those disloyal to the new regime of Ukrainian nationalists and different socialist groups comprised of soldiers in the army of Hetman Skoropadsky. The film analyzes the relations between the Russians and the Ukrainians. Conceived by Bulgakov as a symbol of national reconciliation, the White Guard encourages the unity of the kingdom and friendship of its people. though some radical groups of the local nationalists considered this film to be Russian propaganda. Long live our people, united and free, and I'll gain plus 3.00% stability. And what's going on? Okay, the Second Russian Civil War has just begun. Let me read this biography right here. Vasil the First. Alright, that's cool. Okay. Where is it? I have to hover. Okay, there we go. King Vasil I von Habsburg-Lothringen is regarded by most ethnic Slavs, Russians, and Ukrainians alike to be a humiliating symbol of foreign dominance. In fact, with political polarization growing so rapidly in Ukraine, a disdain for King Vasil is perhaps the only commonality amongst Ukrainians. With such opposition, a stagnant economy, a dysfunctional bureaucracy, and most of all, tension with the influential hetman, Vasil struggles to maintain authority. Interesting. Okay. So, in regards to territorial expansion, I do want to expand into the Don-Kuban Union. I also might expand into White Bithynia, as I mentioned, if they break free of German control, and I definitely want to take over Stanislaw and Bukovina and Lemberg, or as it's known in Ukraine, Lviv. And maybe Poland will take over Krakow. They can have Krakow. I'm okay with that. Maybe I can drag the Germans into a war with the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Who knows? Iron Guard Romania is justifying against us. Okay, maybe you might want to... Maybe the Russia... I'll worry about Russia later. I think Romania is more of a threat. Alright, let's move. Okay, Papal Conclave, interesting. Okay, Pius XII is Pope, just like in real life. I have a feeling Iron Guard Romania is up to something not good. Hang on. No. What are all these guys doing? What are these guys doing all the way down here? Whatever. I'll fix that later. I guess I could trade rubber with the Dutch East Indies. I'll go with Sador Kovpak for my Chief of Staff. Okay, I'll research. Okay, World War I at a time. Let me research anti-tank. Agricultural crisis. Oh wait, let me research. Electronic, mechanical engineering. Agricultural crisis. Since the Weltkrieg, Ukraine has traditionally relied upon its valuable grain trade with the German Empire in order to maintain its economic security. Unfortunately, the current socioeconomic issues afflicting the Reich have meant that it is now far more interested in protecting its own farmers than taking the politically unpopular move of subsidizing Ukrainian agriculture. This could be very dangerous for us, as without support from the German market, our ruling class of agrarian landowners could find it difficult to maintain their dominance in the countryside. We're still the breadbasket of Europe, right? Okay, I lose some civilian factories, lose stability, and my relations with Germany have been damaged. Let me go straight for Bucharest. There, that's better. Let me fix something.